Right. Welcome everybody. It's here. Appreciate you attending and happy Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day today. Thank you again for being on the training. We got a couple good things planned. I know that in the last couple months, we went over how to build the company up and what you need as far as how to market for properties, how to pull those lists, those sort of things. We also, once we got a property under contract, we talked about what do we need to do, the due diligence on it, photographs on it. We even talked about where to market that property. You know, the three main places are Zillow, Craigslist, and Facebook Marketplace. Now, don't get me wrong, please market it wherever you can. The more places you do market it, the more people it sees it. Especially on Facebook, you can join groups, and when you put it on the marketplace, you can also just click to add it to those groups as well, which is really nice and easy to do. So we talked about that. Then we went into the aspect of, okay, somebody wants to buy it. What do I need to do now? So we talked about creating the contract and getting the contract going, and we did that. And we talked about the two different kinds of contracts. We talked about a cash contract where somebody's just going to pay cash for the property. We also talked about owner finance contracts and how to do those and how to set those up properly and the pros and cons of different ways to price your property for owner financing and the additional fees that you can make off of that. We did those things. We talked about closings, how you closed deals. Do you do, through a title company, through an attorney, real estate attorney's office, or you self-close? All of those are different options and avenues. So we talked about those. We talked about the different deeds, a general warranty deed, which is the main deed that people think about. You also have what's called a special warranty deed. It's a little bit different, but all the same overall. You also have what's called a quick claim deed, which is pretty unique in that it actually has, you just sign it over where it's as is. So you have to be careful with those. You need to look at them and see what the deal is with it. And you have tax deeds, and we didn't get really into that because that can be a little bit complicated, and each state's a little bit different. So I don't really get into that real deep, at least not on here. So basically we took you through the process of actually doing a deal and getting the deal completed, so that we proved our concept, so to speak. So we proved our concept, and now we need to know, we're going to take this to a full business scale. So, you made your first sale, now what? And there's a couple things to consider when you're talking about that. Well, what you want to do at the end of the day, it's very simple. You want to repeat the process and build your business to get that financial freedom you're looking for. So, you want to go and completely do this again and again and again and again to do that. But you also want to start looking at some advanced techniques, building a team to scale your business, where you're not having to do every aspect of this business. Maybe you're not having to pull the list and clean the list. Maybe you're not, building all of the ads and all that sort of thing, or doing the due diligence. A couple advanced techniques that our company works with, and a lot of people will work with once they get going, is automated text messaging. And we'll get into that a little bit. On that is that, you can set up text messaging to go out and to market your property. Automated voicemails, kind of like Slide Broadcast is an example of that, where basically you go in there and you drop voicemails in someone's phone. Doesn't ring, but they know it's a voicemail. So in theory, they're going to check that. The automated text messaging, I use Batch Leads to run mine. I actually have a virtual assistant that does that, and we're going to talk a lot about virtual assistants. Cold calling is another aspect. I've got some students that do more cold calling. I don't do a lot just because it is time consuming. That's another thing you could hire out. If you do hire that out with a virtual assistant, I always encourage you, any virtual assistant that's going to be on the phone with a buyer or seller of yours, do a live interview with them on the phone, Zoom, however you got to do it, because you want to make sure that their English is good and you can understand them, because there's nothing more frustrating for a seller or buyer is trying to communicate and there's a communication barrier there. So that's very important. But cold calling is a different way of an aspect. That's basically picking up the phone. You got a list of people and their phone numbers. Hey, Mr. Smith, I noticed you have a property located on East Main Avenue. I wanted to see if you may be interested in selling that to my company. We're actually buying properties in the area and we're very interested in your property. That's an example of cold calling. Now, to do cold calling, some of those things, you need to skip trace. And skip tracing can be several different aspects of skip tracing. We'll talk about it. It may be that you got a letter back. You know, we talk about doing letters and that sort of thing, but you want to make sure, let's say that letter is returned, unable to send to a sender. We can skip trace that person. Maybe we skip trace John Smith and see exactly where they may be at a forwarding address. Skip tracing looks at a lot of different things other than just addresses. If maybe they've gotten a cell phone, opened up an account with a different address, it picks that up. Also, in that type of skip tracing, you can pick up, depending on the level of skip tracing, you can pick up phone numbers. And we've actually just literally this week started picking up valid emails to run also with ours. So it's just another way of looking at it. I guess I really need to update this chart. Emailing folks, trying to get them that way. At the end of the day, we're just looking at different avenues. And one thing to also keep in mind, the more you touch someone, and what I mean by touch is a text, is a letter, the more likely you are to actually get a deal. And one thing's good with land, you can get deals a fair amount with just only one touch. Whereas houses, I know some folks, I think it's Corey Boatwright that does about 7 or 8 touches in order to get a deal. Generally, the rule of thumb is at least 3 with houses and things like that, which can get really expensive. And that's why a lot of people also like the land. The profit scale is there and with less, output per lead, so to speak. So that's some of the advanced techniques. You also can start building a team to scale your business. What do I mean by building a team to scale my business? Well, that team can be a lot of people. Who needs to be on my team? Let's take a look at that. Your team can consist of a lot of people. It can consist of virtual assistants, realtors, management system, customer management systems to manage your properties you have under contract, buyers, all that stuff, abstractors, closing agents, be people driving for dollars, could be anybody to build your team. Depends on what you want on your team. Virtual assistants is probably going to be a big one just because of the cost factor of them. They can do a lot for a lot less than, someone in the States will work for a lot of times. So that's a key thing. And what I want to do is kind of dive into the virtual assistant thing a little bit more. And let's talk about different things. Now, keep in mind, what we're going to go over is different things that virtual assistants make it do for your company. Doesn't mean you're going to use them all. Doesn't mean you're going to use them in any particular order. As you grow your business, you may see opportunities to use them in different areas. One other thing, before I forget it, I encourage you not to train one virtual assistant to do everything in your business. Because if they quit, get run over by a truck, whatever, they leave your company, then you're back at ground zero. So for example, in my company, we have several different virtual assistants. There's one that does marketing photos. There's one that does due diligence. There's one that does the list cleaning, the skip tracing, the batch leads. So we have different people that do different things within our company. So not one person does it all. Some people say they want different people to do it because they don't want one person to know their entire business. I'm not really concerned so much about that. just I want to train them to do what they specialize in. And also, when we do that train, I always obviously record it too. In case they do leave, I can put somebody else in. I've got the recorded training for a new person to look at. So with that said, let's talk about virtual assistants. What can they help us with? Well, one thing that they can help us with is acquisitions. What I mean by acquisitions, well, that's acquiring the property. How are they going to do that? They can contact counties or title companies to obtain lists for mailings. You have to have a mailing list first. That's something that they can do. It may be that you have a some sort of list source that you subscribe to, CoreLogic or one of the others that are out there. Agent Pro 247 used to be a very popular one. They are shutting down, unfortunately. But whatever list source you have, you may give your VA a login so that they can pull that list according to your criteria, and you tell them what you want in that list. If you get that list, a lot of times you got to clean it. And what I mean by clean is, we've talked about earlier, it's taking out duplicates, taking out properties that don't meet your criteria. For example, I don't look at things less than $5,000, $10,000 in value. I don't. And then I'm not really interested in anything over $200,000, $250,000 in value, because my buying pool was so small when you get to those numbers. They can also, when they clean that list, they can actually send that list directly to a mail house or input it into your management software. You've got some sort of management software, maybe it's Pebble or Podio or one of the others that are out there. They can actually, RealFlow, they can actually upload that list for you. And basically most of those softwares will allow you to have multiple logins. So you can give them their own distinct login and you can follow what they do, which is pretty neat because you can tell exactly what they do. And you can also limit what they can see, their access within it. So if you have profits and things you don't want no one to see, you can limit them from that. So that's a couple of things in acquisitions that they can do to help you take that off. Again, I use a company that when I pull a lead, I'll tell you, it's proleads.io, I believe. That's proleads.io or ProLeadZone. I'm not real sure which one. I'll try to look it up here in a minute. But regardless, what they do is for $280, I get 2,000 leads to my specifications, and I also get skip traced on them, and I get their address, obviously, phone numbers, and validated email address. So that's what pays for that. But you can do it all kinds of different ways. I used to have a virtual assistant that literally did get the list, clean it, and that sort of thing for me. We change as new things come available. Properties under contract, and we're talking about when you get a property prior to actually marketing the property. Due diligence reports. I told you that I have a virtual assistant, and I think I've shown you in other trainings that does my due diligence report. It's a very detailed report that I can actually share with a prospective serious buyer. I take off the owner information other than that, and I give them that stuff because it'll give them GPS stuff. It'll give them what can be built on it, the topography of the land, well, septic systems, that sort of thing, power, those type of things. So a due diligence report, you can create your own and just create a checklist and for the VA to call if you wanted to. That's what this virtual assistants do. They actually call and get that information. I actually use what's called landmasters.us. It's landmasters.us. They do an assortment of things. They're virtual assistants. But for me, I just use them for due diligence for the most part. Get proper pics for ads. What I do is I give them an example of ads to look at so they have a good idea of the type of pictures I need. Now, if you don't have any pictures or this is your first deal and you want to use them in something, look at other people's ads. See if you see a style of pictures that that you would like for your virtual assistant to imitate. For example, all of mine, my VA knows exactly what I want. I know the type of pictures he's going to send me. I know that there's going to be some aerial shots with it highlighted. It's going to be aerial shot with the measurements on it. There's going to be a two call to action photographs that says, call Mike at this number, property for sale, and a little bit of details on it. I know that he's also going to point out the towns and cities that are nearby. I know that I'm going to get a street view of the property and things like that. Other things that are close by that's fun to do or that's in that community, so people can start visualizing and feeling themselves living there. So that's some of the things that I get on mine. Some of the community aspects can be parks, golf courses, lakes, etc., or it may be healthcare facilities or something like that. But that can be to however you want it to be. Assistance with buyers and sellers. This is kind of unique also. They can call your potential sellers for follow-up information if needed to make an offer. Let's say you've got somebody that says, yeah, I want to sell my property, but you're noticing that this property may be landlocked. And what I mean by that is there's no road frontage. There's properties all around it. You're going to have to go through somebody's property to get to yours. Maybe your VA calls up and gets clarification. Hey, this property looks landlocked. Do you have an easement, which is a recorded deed of access to your property through someone else's property? Where we do a lot of follow-up on that is homeowners association or property owner associations, HOAs and POAs, getting that information. Is there a website that talks about the community HOA? Is there a gate at the property? If so, is it a gate code? Is it guard gated? That sort of thing. How do I get access to it? What I typically say is, we have members in our field that needs to go out there and get access. So, how do I gain access? If it's a guarded gate, sometimes it get a little challenging, but that's not super often. Follow-up calls and emails to sellers to lead up to your second offer acceptance rate. And what I mean by that is you send out an offer, your first offer, you wait 3, 4, 5 weeks and nothing came from that offer. Follow up, it may be a call. Hey, Mr. Smith, I sent you an offer a few weeks ago. Just wanted to make sure you got it. And what are your thoughts about it? It's an open-ended question, not, yeah, I got it. Tell me what you think about it. It's too low. Go jump off a bridge. If they tell me I just can't take that low of an offer for it, I understand. Maybe we've got a little bit of room here. Can't pay you retail, but what are you trying to get? Try to get a number out of them and see if you can meet somewhere in it, or it may be a number that you actually can get to. That sort of thing are good for follow-ups. It may be, hey, Mr. Smith, we just got additional funds released in the area. We can give you a higher offer now on your property. Are you interested in that? That sort of thing. That will help your second offer acceptance rate. And again, it's about touching that person again with the calls or emails, or it may be texts. Texts are a big thing now, or the voicemails. You have several different options. And again, that's stuff that your virtual assistants can do, or you may want to do. Your virtual assistants can pre-qualify buyers. I've done this every now and then. I'll do it, then I'll take it back over and I'll let the VA do it, depending on how busy I am. And what does that mean? Somebody calls me on the property. The good thing now is that it's mainly people are texting or emailing now, not necessarily calling you. If they're calling in, my VA may return that call. Hey, I know you're interested in our East Main Avenue property. What questions can I answer for you, Mr. Buyer? They can answer those. Well, does it have power on it? Well, if they read ad, they would know that, but a lot of people don't. But they can answer those questions if they seem like a true buyer they qualify, they really seem interested in the property, then they can push it to me to call them or set up a time that we can talk. So that's one. Again, and we talked about even in another point, you can take over the process when the buyer's ready to buy or make an offer. That's when you should be involved in it. But some of the initial things you don't necessarily have to be involved in. It depends on how hands-on you want to be for your thing. And you guys know that anytime you like, you can always stop me or, just let me know if you have a question along the way. Assistance with ads and marketing. So now we've got our due diligence. We've done our, our homework on the property. Now we need our VAs to help us with ads and marketing. Most of the time the ads are better written by you because you know the area better. A VA can assist you in getting the ads on a website maybe, but for example, Walmart's a big thing to a lot of people in different areas of this country. Virtual assistant may not think that a Walmart or a particular highway near the property is a positive thing where you may know that. So I like to do my own ads. My ads are kind of on a template, a very loose template, if you will, that I can put stuff together on and build an ad pretty easily. And I usually do it also off of the due diligence and looking at the pictures. Those things help me when I'm building an ad. And obviously Google in the area. So that's something I would encourage you to be careful about letting them write the ads because you want to create a sense of excitement for the property, a sense of urgency for the property, and different areas within that ad of call to actions, call today, don't let this discounted offer pass you by, those sort of things. Now, sometimes they can obviously assist you on getting things on websites. A properly trained virtual assistant can be trained to create the ads themselves. You may have to check for quality assurance. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. I've known a lot of people that's tried to do that. Some are successful. You got to have patience to get there. And I'm not the super patient person, sadly. Have them utilize spreadsheet checklists to keep track of where and when the ads are placed. Everything that I do, I'm a spreadsheet person. Everybody asks me, what kind of customer management system do you use? I've used them all. I've used RealFlow. I've used several others, Podio, a couple others. I even have one based on Podio custom designed for me. And I appreciate it. But at the end of the day, I love spreadsheets because I can see everything, a snapshot. I can share those things. But on my spreadsheet, it's got like, on the ads spreadsheet, 123 Main Street. Is it pending? Is it available? It's pending if I don't have everything back. As soon as I get okay that it's on Zillow, I can put yes, Craigslist, yes, Facebook Marketplace, yes. You can do those checks. It's very good, especially you start getting in a lot of properties all at once and you say, man, did I put that one on there? I don't know. I don't remember. Let me go look and try to find it. Where the spreadsheet will keep you it's a checklist. I'm big on checklists. It keeps you, it lets you know where you are. It also lets you know where your virtual assistant is if they are actually doing that. So it keeps everybody on the same. And in my case, I use Google Docs, so it's shared. So they have access to it. I have access to it, and we can see where the property is in that process line. Couple other things. So miscellaneous duties. Couple other things they can do: creating buyers lists and emailing out new properties. That's very important. If you talk to buyers, you should get their information. If they're serious buyers, you should get what they're looking for, where they're looking for it, what kind of budget they have, and create the buyers list. We talked about that in some of our earlier training, how important that is, because when you get that new property and you have a core group of people that are interested in buying in a particular area, you can email that out, or your virtual assistant can email that out. For me, I use MailChimp a lot of times. My virtual assistant handles all that. If we get a new property, they'll log into MailChimp, put the information on there that whatever we want to put on it, and let it blast out to our buyers list. We have select buyers lists. We talked about this. If they're buying in the mountains, they may not want an ocean property. You may have to break down your buyers list a little bit, even within a state. Also utilize any text or voicemail messaging programs that you may have. Again, that's like batch leads for texting. It may be slide broadcast for dropping voicemails, things like that. That's something that your virtual assistants could do those things for you. Like I said, I use batch leads a lot. My virtual assistant, literally, we talked about spreadsheets too. My virtual assistant runs my batch leads. And that's what that is a platform that allows you to text out people to sit there interested in selling their properties. I don't even have to go on there. We have a spreadsheet that if a lead comes in, yes, I'm interested, give me an offer. He puts their information in the spreadsheet along with the property information and the parcel number and that sort of thing, their contact information. I have all that in a spreadsheet. So all I have to do is literally go and research that property. And within my spreadsheet, have date of first offer amount, date of second offer amount, retail value of the property. Why do I put retail value? I do that initially because if they don't take my first offer, I don't have to go back and look and determine what it's worth. I already know. Now, if they come up and they're a little higher than I wanted to go, I may take a look at the numbers and make sure that, I'm in the ballpark, because, we don't have to be, that's another good thing with land. You don't have to be precise. It doesn't have to be worth $42,319.47. It's worth around 40 grand, give or take. But if you have a deal that's getting tight, then you may want to know that more. Track all potential buyer leads. I use a spreadsheet for this. Again, that's building that buyer's list in it. Other things, the slide broadcast, they can do that. Creating videos to train your virtual assistant so that you're not having to re-explain all the time. So when I train a virtual assistant, we generally do it on a Zoom call. It's recorded and it's shared with them. Why do I share it with them also? It's because if they are doing a particular job, let's say they're pulling a list and trying to get down to my criteria and they don't remember what it was and they send me a message, maybe I'm busy for 24, 48 hours. I don't see that message and they're in a holding pattern. If they've got that video there where we went over all the specifics and details of what I want in a list, how to pull it, what to clean up on the list, what to filter out, they can go back and review that video and answer the question for themselves. Same thing if they leave and someone new comes in, what I typically do is give them the video, have them watch it, quiz them a little bit on it in a follow-up conversation with them, and then do some question and answer if they have some questions about particular things. But I'm not having to start all the way over and do a complete training. Let the videos do the work for me. Utilize a call center to take calls and send a general email for you or your VA to input in your management system. What does that mean? Well, there's call centers out there. There's multiple ones. Big one is Pat Live. It's kind of expensive. I don't use them. There's some others out there. But what can happen is those call centers get that information. They email it to you. John Smith's interested in selling his property at 123 Main Street. That's the information you need to follow up on, but it's just in an email. Maybe that email actually goes to your virtual assistant that you have created an email account for that you control. And he takes that information, inputs it either on your spreadsheet or your customer management system, and puts all that there for you. So then you just are looking at either your CRM or your spreadsheet for that information. You're not having to track it down, that sort of thing. Also works with voicemail. Now, I use voicemail a lot. I used to use call centers, but my business is more versatile now. Land is my bread and butter. And what I actually enjoy the most in all the real estate stuff that I do, I do enjoy land better. I'm not saying that just because I teach it. I generally really do enjoy it more than anything. But I do that. I use voicemail. For me, it's Google Voice. There's other voicemail systems, call type things you can use. Some people use an extra cell phone, that sort of thing. But what I do is I use that. I don't check that voicemail. A virtual assistant checks that voicemail. Again, now we do more things through texting, so it's not as big of a deal, which is also a huge savings because I don't need that that company that takes my calls and things. It's mainly text stuff. But if I have voicemails, I can have a VA check that if I don't want to check that, or maybe I want to check it most of the time when I'm out of town, need them to check it. Now, sometimes some of the call centers can actually input that data directly into your CRM, which takes away the need for your virtual assistant to do it. It's just that part of the duties of the call center. The big thing with the call center is you need to let them have a script to ask the questions you want. I try to create a very short list because most call centers, you're paying based on minutes. So however many minutes they take on the phone with a person eats down at your pool of minutes. You can obviously, there's a charge for additional minutes if you go over that month. But I don't need to make them friends, so to speak. I need you to get the information and get off so we can move to the next one. It's all about time and things like that. These are some just different things that virtual assistants can help you with. And there's other things. These are things that I just hit the top, the biggest part with, just to kind of give you an idea. They can do almost anything for you. But those virtual assistants are what is one of the key things and what helps you automate your business. They are the team that does automate your business, so to speak, in a lot of different ways. Along with, maybe a call center, maybe a batch leads type thing, which you can handle batch lead yourself if you want to. It's just something that I don't particularly care to do. So that's virtual assistant stuff. We also have realtors, and what can realtors do for me? Well, they can do a lot of stuff. Some people say, "Oh my gosh, a realtor is involved with my seller. It's just going to be a nightmare." Maybe, maybe not. But they can do a lot of things. A lot of times, what I end up doing is maybe working with a real estate agent in the beginning on a particular property. After that property, let's say they are the ones that's representing a buyer, they send the contract, that sort of thing. After that deal is complete, I generally reach out to them. I may even send them a Starbucks gift card or something, but I'll reach out to them and say, "Hey, look, I'm doing deals in this area. You obviously have buyers that's interested in land. How can we help one another out? Recruit them for your team." Now, you're not asking them to necessarily list your properties, but you need to make sure that you let them know that you will pay them for their time and effort. If they bring you a buyer, yeah, if you bring me a buyer, you're dang right, I'm going to pay you a commission. I don't mind at all. You're bringing me a buyer. Why wouldn't I? They also, on the flip side, if you're looking at a property and you're just really not sure on the numbers, or maybe it's one that you're having to press your numbers a little bit more on, and you're just not real comfortable with the value you're coming up with. It depending on how tight of a relationship you have with that realtor, they can help you with those values. Here's one thing that I ask them a lot of times is, I don't want to know what you're going to list the property for. I want to know what this property is going to sell for within 60 days or 90 days or 30 days. What's it going to sell for? I don't care about listing it. what's it going to sell for? That's what we're going to list it for. You got to be careful sometimes with that information if it's on the front end, because what you don't want is a realtor to know that you're trying to get a property and then they go and get that buyer to list with them, or that seller to list with them. So sometimes I just talk in generalities about an area, in this part of the county, in the southeast quadrant. I'm seeing properties at, 2.5, 3 acres, and there's just different price points. Is there a reason for that? That sort of thing. Another thing that's good is contacting a realtor when you have a property in a particular neighborhood. You got properties all over the place, price wise. Try to give you an idea. Or if a property I'm interested in purchasing, the seller said, yeah, I want to, sell this, but he's got it listed for some astronomical amount. I'll call the realtor. Don't necessarily tell them who I am. I just say, hey, look, saw this property that you got for sale. And, on Zillow or realtor.com, you can tell how many days it's been on market. I'll ask them, say, hey, I see you got this property on Main Street. I see it's been on the market, 342 days. Am I missing something? Why is it not sold? I mean, is it because it's priced too high? Is that a recommended price you're saying? That sort of thing. Because it may be the seller won't let them bring down the price. Or it may be that their head's in the clouds and they don't realize what the true value is. Make them, tell you that sort of thing. If you do ask them what a value is on a property, I always follow it up with, don't tell me it's worth $20,000. Okay. Why do you think that? What brings you to say that this property is worth $20,000? Oh, I looked at other properties to come up with that. Okay, great. What comparables did you look at? Send me the comparables you looked at for that property. Now, if they don't want to do that, I got to ask myself, did they really look at comparables? Are they really working for me and my benefit? Maybe so, maybe not. But I want to see something that corroborates why you think this is worth what you think it's worth. Utilize them for potential buyers. Talked about that. They may be able to list the property. What do I mean by that? You don't own the property yet. So in a lot of states, you cannot list it. In some states, for example, I'm in North Carolina. A real estate agent, if I have a property under contract, I can have that real estate agent list that property for sale, although I don't own it. And one of the boxes on the listing, it's, seller does not yet own. And what's good about that is that, I can get it on the MLS like that. So that's a cool little technique. Now, not all realtors, even in North Carolina, will do it. It depends on their broker. If their broker is okay with it, a lot of them don't understand it, and that sort of thing. If they don't want to list it or can't list it, have them treat it as pocket listing. What I mean by pocket listing is a listing that an agent has, or a property that a real estate agent knows about, that's available for sale, but is not on the MLS, multiple listing service. It's just, kind of a word of mouth thing. Sometimes that actually creates an exclusivity that people want to know about it. Not everybody knows about this. I want to know about it. Tell me about this property. So they can treat it as a pocket listing. Just, again, make sure you let them know that you'll pay them. Now you may have to go through several realtors to find one that understands investors. That's absolutely 150% correct. Not all investors not all realtors understand investors. I've had realtors that wouldn't make offers because, oh my gosh, I can't offer that. That would insult the seller of this property. I don't care. It's what I think it's worth. I'm not trying to insult them. It's a business decision. You work for me. That's the offer I want. Do your fiduciary responsibility and present the offer. So that's something that you may have to go through a couple to understand. I was very fortunate when I did my first real estate investment deal in 2002. I just happened, pure luck, to get with a realtor that also had an investor background. And she showed me and told me a lot of things that really helped me put me to where I am today. But she understood investors. And to this day, we still have a friendship. And that's been, what, 20 years ago now? Wow. But we still have a good friendship, and I can call her if I've got questions about something, which is very good. So they can turn into long-lasting friendships and business contacts. Many times a good investor-minded real estate can help with buyers and sellers. Exactly. They can help you find buyers. They may actually have sellers that they can run it through also. So that's different things to think about with realtors. Don't necessarily cringe or think you got to hide information with realtors. Just be cautiously optimistic about them in the beginning and see what happens. Next thing, CRMs, customer relationship management software. What is this? Again, we talked about it can be Podio, it can be RealFlow, Pebble, those sort of things right there. Try different ones. If you want a management software system, and they're good, just because I don't use them doesn't mean they're not good. I've used them. I've just, whatever reason I don't use them now. I still will try some new ones if they come out. I'm getting old. I like, I don't like change. I like the way I got something. I understand it. My virtual assistants understand it. I don't want to relearn something, which I could be missing out. But a lot of them do have trial periods. So check them out if you want to. So a lot of them have 30-day trial periods. What I always used to do, I had a dummy file set of 5 different records, and I would use those during the trial period. So I wasn't really losing anything, but I could play with the numbers and see how it went through the system, walking it through the system, see how I push it from, a lead to a property under contract, to a property marketed, to a property under contract to sell, to a sold property. See how it walks through the system. But it is a central place for your data. You can put your seller information, your buyer information, put mail campaigns in there, all kinds of things, properties within there. So you can put about anything in them, which is really cool. Abstractors is another good thing, especially you start getting into different properties, like, for example, that you are wanting to self-close. What do I mean by that? By closing it without an attorney or a title company. You're going to do it because it's a small deal or whatever the reason may be. What they do is touched on them and we talked about them in self-closings. They verify the title of the property by researching it past real estate records. They make sure that the title and the deed is clean. It doesn't have anything wrong with it. You can look for abstractors. You can Google abstractors in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, or things like that. But duties also include creating a property description and a list of zoning regulations, then compiling this information into a report the parties involved in a real estate transaction. So they will give you a report on that title, what the history is. Are there any issues with it? That sort of thing. So they're a good thing. And, there's some virtual assistants that can do abstract work. What I always encourage people to do, if you're going to use a new abstract person to search title, rather they're virtual or here, take one that you've already had a closing company or attorney's office that's already done a title search on a property. Let them search that property. Don't tell them that you have a title search already back, especially if you've got one that's got something on it. Let them research that. See if they come back with the same thing as the professional that did it, with the attorney's office or with the title company. See if they catch anything in it. That's always a good thing, because you're testing their ability, because you don't want them to miss some things that can be, very detrimental to the sale of your property. Closing agents, title companies, great working relationship with ones that understand investors. That's always a good thing if they understand what you're doing, that, I'm going to do a double close. Do they know what a double close means? Do they know what an assignment means? If you work in a new county, I a lot of times will pick up the phone and call and say, hey, ABC Title Company, do you work with investors? If so, okay, why should I use you for my deals? That sort of thing. Side note, some title companies can also provide you with lists, mail lists. And sometimes they'll do it for free because they want the business on the back end. You're selling and buying deals, but just try to get a working relationship with a couple different ones. Don't stick with one. Always have a couple. But that's always good because they'll get to know you. You'll get to know them. You'll know what they want. They'll know how to send things to you as well. Real estate closing attorneys, again, same as above. Create a working relationship that understands investors, have more than one in a state, and that sort of thing. Like, for example, I've got one, we talk about deeds, and even in my self-closing deals, I've gotten where I don't do the deeds. I don't write them out. I don't create new deeds. I have an attorney do that. He does it for $100 because he's not doing a title search. All he's doing is creating a new deed. I'm giving him the buyer information, the seller information. He just has to plug it in. To me, it's worth it. It's a time saver because deeds have to be perfect. You do not want any messed up areas on that. Create a mess for you and people down the road also. So there's, we've talked about the pros and cons of each other types of closings. Real estate closing attorneys, maybe a little bit more money because there isn't a real estate investor or an attorney involved. However, on the flip side, they also can answer some legal questions. Title companies may be a little cheaper because you're not paying the attorney also, but you may have to be referred out to a real estate attorney if something comes up. So that's some of the different things that you can do to build your team and the type of people. Again, virtual assistants, use more than one. Look at landmasters.us. It's a group that they're really good at what they do. And they do different things, a lot of different things. I have different all my virtual assistants, I asked them, submit to me a list of everything that you're good at, that you've perfected, because it may not be something I need them for right now. Maybe they're doing one thing on that list, but maybe I can give them more work later on when I see an opportunity open up for them. So that's some of the things that I do on that. Let me jump off of this share thing for a minute. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. If you do want to know more about how to jumpstart your business, any of you have been on my calls before, you can go to www.startinvestingwithmike.com. There's a little video with me in it, tells you a little bit more about me, and also a link to our calendar to schedule a call to where we can talk to you, kind of give you a 30-day plan of action for your business, see where you are, that sort of thing. I love talking with people and finding those things out with people. But definitely, if you're interested at all with that, don't hesitate to do that. If you have any questions, anybody have any questions right now about building your team in real estate? That's very important. One other thing, it's Valentine's Day. You're supposed to give gifts on Valentine's Day. We will give you a copy of our complete land investing course. If you're interested in it, go to this website, book a call with us. Let me know that you were on the call on Valentine's Day. I'll get you access to our entire program for free. That's just a gift for being on here on a holiday. Yeah, it wasn't advertised or anything today at all. Just something I like to do for your loyalty in hanging out with me for an hour. Does anyone have any questions?
Hi, Mike. Thank you for the information. I don't have any questions right now.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. And if you do have questions, just, go to that site and book a call. We can answer some questions. I'm here every, second Monday of the month. We'll do something. We're going to start getting into, we talked about batch leads. I want to do a training. We're going to get deeper into some things to show you and walk you through some things in our upcoming trainings, and trying to put some new cutting edge things that we're working on that we want to share with you all. So please continue to, if you can be on the call live, I really appreciate that. If you can, I know that a lot of people have to watch it at a later time just due to other responsibilities in their life. I appreciate the ones that watch it at a later date. But if there is nothing else, we'll wrap it up. And I hope everyone has a happy Valentine's Day and the rest of your evening. And I look forward to talking with you either on a call if you book a call, or seeing you next month. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.